What's going on, guys? 360 Digital Closing Bell Daily Energy Market Summary here on this gorgeous Friday, October 9th, 2020, episode number 145. We are kind of live on YouTube from an undisclosed location here in Washington, D.C. I am your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, joined as always by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, Stuart Turley. How you doing today?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and you got a hall pass.
I do have a hall pass to give out, guys. If you listen to our podcast this morning, which ironically is exclusively available on YouTube until we can get Blurberry to call us back and get our account upgraded. We've been pumping out so much content, both on the Oil and Gas Show podcast, available on iTunes and Spotify, and the 360 Digital Closing Bell podcast, available on iTunes and Spotify. Then we got maxed out on our coverage. So we're actually, if you're a fan of those shows, don't worry. You can listen to our long form week back podcast, available exclusively on YouTube, probably until middle of next week. And then we'll definitely update the backlogs, but that's what we were dealing with today. Unbelievable. People ask me what I do all day. I'm sitting on the phone with support for Blueberry, just trying to get podcast stuff upgraded. Unbelievable. But we have a wild show for you guys planned today. First, Norway ends the strike. Yes, that means someone listened to the show yesterday. Stu's been on that for a while. Scent oil tanking, actually. We'll cover it here in a little bit. You talk about news-driven events today. One of the most just news events going left, right, moving markets up and down. Unbelievable. Stu's got some other stuff in the international news desk. Hurricane Delta, we'll do a quick update for +4 rigs on the rig count, and just some other stuff we'll cover here. But first, guys, just subscribe. 360 Digital Closing Bell, as I mentioned, iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. The best way to stay up to date on all of your energy, finance stuff. You know, the markets today were absolutely crazy. Okay, so to kind of give you an idea, there was one big market news thing that drove stocks upward. So when we look at our major indices, they traded up a little bit. The SPY was 0.8, 1.5 for Nasdaq, which is tech stocks leading a little bit, and Dow Jones was 0.5. Well, what happened was Larry Kudlow, who's an advisor to the president, came out and said that a revised package of $1.8 billion stimulus has been agreed upon by President Trump. Unbelievable. That really drove, and as when that news came out, that drove stocks upward. What's unbelievable is Mitch McConnell said that there was still no deal going to happen before the election, and Nancy Pelosi says they're still talking. So you've got three different people now coming out at some point today, but right now the sentiment is some sort of stimulus package is going to get done. So that's what we're looking to, traders are kind of looking for right here. As we saw, FAANG was up huge, specifically because they're looking for that $1,200 stimulus check on that. So when we move over to crude oil, that was down about a 1.5%, about 50 cents down to 40.71. Back into the curve was about down the same though, down about 1.5 percentage points. Again, off the back of Norway calling off the strike, which we'll cover here in a little bit. Natural gas had itself a big day, up about 4.5 percentage points, $2.73 too. That's just an unbelievable number. Considering where we've come from on this 12-month strip, was only up a percentage point. And again, why is natural gas up? Hurricane Delta, again, which we will cover here in a little bit. XOP, which is our E&P securities contract, was down about 1.5% today, 44.85. That's about 70 cents on the downside. OAH, which is oilfield services contract, about 102.74. That's 1.5% down, or about $1.70. So if we look at our biggest movers on the day on the downside, it was pretty light actually. Not pretty light. We saw some big numbers, but it wasn't terrible on the downside. TransGlobe Energy was down about 45 cents. That's about 12.5 percentage points. Houston American Energy Corporation, go Texas, down about 20 percentage points, $1.89. And Camper Energy, about 88 cents. That was about 30% on the downside. On the upside, Stu, watch out. Big numbers here. Okay. Barnwell Industries up 14 percentage points. That's about $1.05. Abraxas Petroleum Company, they're up 19 percentage points. $1.19 cents. Permarock Royalty Trust up 25 percentage points. And Sanchez Midstream Company, great little website they've got, 81 cents. They're up 120% today. So those the Sanchez family better be having drinks tonight. But I actually don't think they're not involved with it anymore. So it's whoever owns now these Sanchez Midstream, I forget who they sold it to, they will be having drinks tonight. Stu, what do you have in the international news desk?
I got a couple things. I think the folks at Norway were listening to our podcast yesterday. Said, "Why are you guys striking when everybody's getting laid off?" They did strike a deal, and it was going to be cutting out 966,000 barrels a day of equivalent. So that one's kind of good. The other one from Equinor, Equinor, the CEO is playing armchair quarterback. He says that in 2014 and 2016, they overspent in the U.S., and now they're having to write off $20.4 billion. And they're saying we did not.
What a number.
Oh my goodness. So their limited onshore competence experience did great, but it wasn't for shale in the U.S. So rut-row. And then the other one is Exxon Mobil and Sangol signed 3 contracts. This goes back to earlier in our week about Exxon. They're keeping their rigs offshore. They just signed 3 more new deep water blocks. So
interesting. Over in Senegal?
Yes, in the Nyambe Basin off of Angola.
Oh, interesting. Actually, I had a professor that I taught one of my petroleum economics classes at Mines. He cut his chops in Angola. Said some wild stories about some stuff going on there. So unbelievable. As we move over to the U.S. shale patch, Stu, we got to come back to this Norway oil strike, because I think when people say, well, what happened to oil today? Down 1.5%, both on the front and the back end. It's off. This Norway oil strike we've been covering all week. We said yesterday on the show they got to figure out something here. That long-term oil supply issue can't happen. This morning, as we mentioned, it dropped about 45 minutes ago. They're calling it off. 900, as Stu mentioned, 966,000 barrels coming back onto the market again. This was an offshore supply issue. So that's really what it was, just unbelievable. And so it's good to see that. How long was this strike on for, Stu? It was about a week and a half.
About that. I mean, it's amazing how much damage it did.
It really did, and you can really go through and track those news events. And we also look at the LNG side of it. What happened to natural gas prices, up 4 percentage points. Well, guess what? Hurricane Delta, as it comes in. First off, the reports are that the flooding down in Louisiana is going to be brutal. So anyone who listens to the show, if you're in Louisiana, we'll be thinking you get out of there. It sounds like it's going to be not great. So please get yourself out of there. The other thing that we're seeing, though, is what was expected to be light on refinery hits. It looks like there are 2 LNG plants right in the way, and that's really what sent prices soaring. We're trading about $2.27. I mean $2.77 here, which is it's a big number when you're talking about for natural gas. It's that Lake Charles, it's 2 Lake Charles facilities. So unfortunately, they're going to be knocked offline. Another thing that happened today, rig count. We saw a moderate rise in the rig count, about 4. Not really, again, impacting the price of oil. We're still sitting there at 196 rigs. So still need to see that, as I mentioned, pop over 200. Would be really nice to see. Something else that dropped on the news desk, EOG's having a nice little lawsuit with some new mineral owners. What I just find funny is, I think mineral owners and operators are destined to be in lawsuits with each other, because one wants more money, the other doesn't want to give more money. So it's just, I think they're always, it's like Michael Scott and Toby Flenderson. They're just destined to hate each other, regardless of what can happen. But I think, Stu, I've got nothing else on the desk here. We were actually kind of putting this show together. It was pretty light today. We didn't quite, not saying we're pulling things out of the thin air, but man, I don't know if we're gearing up for some bankruptcies. We're hearing some things, some chatter coming across line, and we might see some chapters delivered this weekend. Fingers crossed, I hope not, but are we missing anything today?
No, we got new dashboards. Yes. We are getting phenomenal hits on those dashboards. Oil and gas 360, go across the top and you see the dashboards that are there. We have a new one coming out on Monday. And we also have a lot of clients that are asking for customized dashboards for their tailored information. Having knowledge is power. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's what's really cool. I think, the dashboards are a nice product, but I think really what they show is a really cool proof of concept that there are some very interesting things you can do in this business intelligence and business analyzation space that I think, talking about customized dashboards, nothing more than executives like than looking at a nice little report every morning about what's going on with either their business or what's happening with their peer industry in terms of market news. So please, guys, hit us up, mtannerentercominc.com, the world's greatest website, oil and gas 360.com. But with that, guys, I think, Stu, we're going to go ahead and let him get out of here, get back to work, give him that hall pass. I know we're out of here. I'm in D.C. here. I'm actually going to go check out, I've never had to go check out the Lincoln Memorial, see it with my own 2 eyes, as I like to say. I will tell them you said hi. But we're going to go ahead and let you guys get out of here. Finish up your day. Start your weekend. We will see you guys Monday for the Week Ahead podcast. Available only on YouTube. Again, we'll keep you updated when we can finally get that back on iTunes and Spotify. And then we will see you guys in the afternoon for the digital ticker for Stuart Turley and Michael Taylor. Have a great weekend.